What up, King? It's been almost 2 months since I've addressed this topic of NoFap, semen retention, Brahmacharya head on from the perspective that I understand it best, which is the Hindu perspective. And considering that this is the mainstay original topic by which my YouTube channel was born, I don't want to neglect this topic for too long, especially if I feel as if I have a new perspective or insight that I could bring that hasn't been said yet. So with that regard, I want to talk about the dark side of NoFap, or the potential dangers of semen retention in this video. And to actually signify or to bring this idea to life, I want to give the parable or a story within Hinduism, the story of the Ramayana. The Ramayana is one of the most famous stories out of all of the Hindu narratives, and it goes something like this. In the kingdom of Ayodhya, there was a princely man named Ram who was actually an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And because of political turmoil and the machinations of his family, he was sent to exile in the forest. And he brought his wife Sita with him to live out 14 years in exile as a hermit. And even though he didn't have to, Ram's brother Lakshman came with him to basically be his aide, his right-hand man, to serve him in these harsh years in the woods together. In this time, Ram's wife Sita was kidnapped by the demon king Ravana, where she was basically ensnared by these demonic beings, these asuric beings. To save Sita, Ram and Lakshman took on an army, a being of people known as the Varnas, kind of like half monkey, half human, and together that army, Ram and Lakshman, took on Sri Lanka and ultimately killed the demon king of Sri Lanka, Ravana. And the part in all of this that's especially interesting to me and with regards to this topic is the fact that Ravana, the demon king, had a son named Meghanada, who is considered the most powerful warrior in all of Hindu storytelling, in all of the Hindu narratives. Meghanada was so strong that he actually defeated Indra, the kind of like our version of Zeus or Thor. He's the god of thunder in Hindu storytelling. And Meghanada defeated Indra, which is why one of his names was Indrajit. And he was even granted a boon by Brahma, another one of the gods, that he was basically unconquerable, except by someone who had observed a special austerity. Lakshman was the only one who was able to kill Indrajit. According to the practice of Brahmacharya by Swami Sivananda, the reason Lakshman was able to kill Indrajit was ultimately because he had observed celibacy for 14 years. And it is because of that power that he had especially attained that the Hindu scriptures went on to say that the person who observes Brahmacharya is gained a number of virtues, a number of qualities, those of which are Ayu, Teju, Balam, Viryam. Ayu, which means long life, Teju, which means a sharp intellect, Balam, which means physical strength, and Viryam, which means vigor. As Sivananda put it, by the practice of Brahmacharya, longevity, glory, strength, vigor, knowledge, wealth, undying fame, virtues, and devotion to the truth increases. Later on, a number of Hindu sages also validated what these ancient scriptures had said. One such sage was Paramhansa Yogananda. He had written the book Autobiography of a Yogi, who George Harrison from the Beatles was a huge fan of, and in fact would dole out copies of this to everyone he could meet. But Paramhansa Yogananda said this about the practice of Brahmacharya. Every drop of creative chemical fluid is said to contain the concentrated essence of 8 drops of blood and the electric energy that would be contained in their thousands of blood corpuscles. To drive them out of the body foolishly, lured by the enemy, sexual temptation, is to lose these soldiers of energy and mental power and to become a victim of the army of darkness, disease, weakness, fear, worry, dissatisfaction, melancholia, and even premature death. Now, how does this relate to the dark side or the potentially dangerous side of NoFap? Well, one of the most interesting qualities of Lakshman that didn't exist in his brother Ram was that Lakshman was immensely prone to anger. Always. Ram always had to keep him in check, otherwise he would have some sort of violent outburst. And this has been true for a number of characters in Hindu storytelling who practice Brahmacharya, whether it's Bhishma Pitama or Bhishma, another warrior in the Mahabharata, or even Hanuman, the monkey god, who is also a celibate. A lot of these characters had a rage inside them that often had to be kept in check by more peaceful, centered people. And it's often been said in Hindu texts that lust and anger are really the opposite side of the same coin. So when you cultivate a lot of lust, a lot of sexual energy, and if you do not honor your sadhana, your daily disciplines that allow you to transmute that energy, it will often show up as immense anger. And even now for myself, I cannot neglect my sadhana, I cannot neglect my daily disciplines for even a day, because I will start to feel the cracks in my armor in terms of feeling frustration, feeling anger, being curt with people, not having any patience with people's bullshit. And it can be really kind of a terrifying emotion to harness all of that anger. And if you're not careful, this energy can really, practicing a degree of cultivation of this life force energy, you become someone who people turn to. You just notice this, people like look to you as a source of answers, as a source of information, and you could destroy with this. It's a strange thing to have, and it's a strange thing to say, but harnessing that much energy in that way without balancing it out with a degree of meditation or pranayama or even modern bioenergetic exercises such as the Wim Hof method, if you do not have the appropriate transmutative practice in place, you could really do a lot of damage. You could make people cry, you could break hearts, you can hurt people's feelings, you could ruin your own reputation if you do not have these systems in place. And even more so, it's kind of a scary element to all of this, is that rage never actually goes away. The rage will continue to build. I often struggle with an extraordinary level of anger. But when I'm actively transmuting and I'm very careful to meditate, for me what is required is 40 minutes of meditation every day, which is about 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, as well as a 20-minute or 15-minute pranayama routine. But if I lose those disciplines for even a day, anger starts to build, and you can find yourself being frustrated, lashing out. You can find yourself really suffering from insomnia, like unbearable insomnia. Although the one caveat that I will throw in is that if you've only had a streak of like 4 days, this doesn't apply to you. This is something that like nurtures slowly and cultivates in your character, this sort of anger, this sort of rage that begins to build, and it stays there. And if you have the disciplines in place to manage it, to balance it, then you can sort of turn it into a serene rage that's always there, but then it can power your work. But if you don't honor the disciplines, if you don't honor your sadhana, it can really either destroy you or cause damage to the people in your world. So that is the potential dark side to NoFap. If you're new to the channel, my name is Nikhil. This channel is about combining Eastern spirituality with Western productivity. And in particular, I want to speak to the creatives or the entrepreneurs, the people who want to bring to life the artistry that is within them. And so in that regard, I like to talk about concepts that are both kind of energy-based, spiritual, a little more out there, and also address the tactical, productive side of things, because I think the best results in my life have often come when I've addressed both elements of that. So if that appeals to you, consider subscribing. If you like the video, please leave it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to connect with me further, you can follow me on Instagram. And with that being said, let us harness that serene rage and let us temper it with the right amount of sadhana. Because for those of us who are willing to do so, to us I say, greatness is coming. Cheers guys, I'll see you next time.